Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 264. Without any delay, start explanation. Boom, came another explosion. This time, Tang Wulin's feet sunk another 3 inches. However, Ma Shan was staggering backward from the impact. He only managed to regain his footing after 5 steps. This time, his gaze truly changed. Although he did not use his soul skill, his Titanate martial soul was a pure strength-type martial soul that had been passed down to him directly. Where collisions of pure strength were concerned, he was confident in his abilities even if his opponent was a title d'Or. However, he had not gained the upper hand even after a few consecutive bouts with Tang Wulin. This left him feeling greatly depressed. Tang Wulin drew a deep breath. It's impolite to not return what one receives. Commander Ma, please receive my spear. As he said this, Tang Wulin's eyes shone brightly. The complementing yin-yang vortex swirled wildly within him. He planted his feet firmly on the ground. He stabbed with his golden dragon spear, moving slowly as if it was heavy as a mountain. An excited dragon's roar sounded. Countless blue-silver emperor vines could be seen appearing like little golden dragons. They circled around the golden dragon spear and then merged with it. A colossal golden dragon's head sprouted at the spear's tip. With a deafening roar, it suddenly detached itself from the golden dragon spear and flew straight toward Ma Shan. It was the Blue Emperor Golden Dragon soars to the heaven. The blood-soul fusion skill. The difference between their cultivation bases was too great. That was why Tang Wulin had unleashed his blood-soul fusion skill, which he was getting familiar with, at the first opportunity he had. Ma Shan's expression changed. He finally disregarded his own status. The first and third soul rings on his body lit up at the same time. His skin immediately shone with a steely luster. At the same time, his body enlarged again with his height exceeding 12 meters, which was roughly the size of a standard melee mecha. His fists enlarged as well until its diameter was a meter. He hurled both of them at the golden dragon soars to the heavens simultaneously. Boom! The third explosion was clearly louder than the previous 2. While deafening, it also blasted the accumulated snow far into the skies. Long Yushua had tried to leave the forging workshop 3 times, but each time, she was suppressed by the strong airflow which prevented her from stepping out of the workshop. Each airflow was stronger than the one before. Although she was extremely anxious currently, there was nothing she could do. How did it come to this? Just how did it come to this? Wulin, please be okay. Feeling anxious, her eyes turned red as well. She unleashed her martial soul and was about to charge out of the workshop with all her might. However, at this very moment, one of the walls of the forging workshop suddenly crumbled with a loud crash. A colossal body which flickered with golden electric currents crashed into the workshop and toppled 2 racks of rare metals. The body crashed heavily onto the ground and even formed a human-shaped pit. Long Yushua was at first stunned. In the next moment, she covered her red lips. Good heavens! This is Commander Ma. Such a huge body could not possibly be Tang Wulin. It could only be Ma Shan. Ma Shan, a rank 84 soul d'Or. Tang Wulin? Although Long Yushua had always known that Tang Wulin was powerful, she never thought that he was powerful enough to bring down the Iron Blood Battalion's commander. It was simply unbelievable. However, the truth was laid bare before her eyes. When Long Yushua ran out eagerly, she saw Tang Wulin pulling his feet out of the ground, as if nothing had happened. He wielded his golden dragon spear and walked slowly toward the workshop. Currently, the alarm was already blaring. Scores of figures were running over to where they stood. They were the imposing experts from the army's court-martial. Tang Wulin shrugged at Long Yushua with slight helplessness. His Major General star on his shoulder flickered. At the moment, Long Yushua felt light on her feet. She seemed to never have truly understood the man who was standing before her. His? Don't tell me his really. The personnel from the court-martial surged toward them like a swarm of bees. The Iron Blood Battalion's commander Ma had risen to his feet. He looked beaten and in a slightly sorry state. His military uniform was torn apart the moment he transformed. Currently, there were dozens of wounds on his chest which formed a crisscross pattern. They were left behind by the golden dragon soars to the heaven. His fists were all right, and his eyes flickered with a fierce light. A few scratch marks could be seen on his head. Naturally, he was bald where the scratch marks were. When he saw the arrival of the court-martial personnel, he did not maintain his martial soul form but returned to his initial appearance. Nevertheless, he looked gloomy. In fact, he was more shocked than gloomy. He could not help but be shocked. Everything that happened was beyond his judgment. The chief of the court-martial was a colonel. When he saw the dignified-looking, handsome Tang Wulin standing there with his golden dragon spear in his hands, he looked astonished. Dressed in a martial attire which was white as snow and armed with a dragon spear, he could certainly make heads turn in a room. However, when the colonel saw the major general insignia on Tang Wulin's shoulders, his expression changed immediately. His initial reaction was the same as Ma Shan's. How can there be such a young major general? Unlike Ma Shan, though, he was not as impulsive. The colonel floated toward Tang Wulin and landed softly in front of him. He saluted Tang Wulin first, and Tang Wulin returned the salute. "Senior officer, may I know which department you're from? And what happened here?" Since he did not know who Tang Wulin was, he could only address him according to the military rank displayed on his shoulders. Tang Wulin saluted him and said with a lowered voice, "I'm the newly appointed Blood 9 of the Blood God Battalion. The Iron Blood Battalion's commander Ma doubted my identity, hence, we fought. This is my Blood God bracelet. You may verify it yourself." As he said this, Tang Wulin raised his left hand and showed the Blood God bracelet on his wrist to him. When he heard Tang Wulin addressing himself as Blood 9, the colonel's jaw dropped for he could hardly believe his ears. Ma Shan, who had just stumbled out from the forging workshop, was stunned. He did not believe everything that Tang Wulin had said before this. However, he had no choice but to believe him now, albeit half-heartedly. No way, Blood 9. His opponent had truly beaten him with his own strength. Although he had not fought with his full strength, he could not be sure that his opponent had used his full strength either. Ma Shan's expression was slightly sour. Nearby, Long Yuxue had a confused look in her eyes. He had only stayed in the army for a few short months. Within that period of time, he got himself promoted from a second lieutenant to a major general and also become the Blood God Battalion's Blood 9. Was it even possible? Although it seemed highly impossible, he had, nevertheless, blown Commander Ma away. Deep in her heart, Long Yuxue was willing to believe that it was true. The colonel verified Tang Wulin's Blood God bracelet and returned it to him with respect. Then, he saluted him again. "Thank you for your cooperation, senior officer." After he finished, he turned and walked toward Ma Shan. "Hello, Commander Ma." Ma Shan stared with his mouth agape. Later, he said, "This can't be. Is he really?" The colonel spoke with a solemn expression. "His identity has been verified. The senior officer is the new Blood 9. He was just commissioned this morning." Ma Shan gulped. He suddenly felt that he was in trouble. Tang Wulin strode over and said with a lowered voice, "Actually, there's nothing to it. It was just something personal between the commander and I. We weren't happy with each other's strengths, and we decided to spar with each other. We caused quite a stir which has resulted in unnecessary trouble. Can we just let this pass? The next time we spar, we'll be sure to head over to the combat room. We'll repair everything that's been broken. How's that sound?" The colonel looked at Ma Shan, who seemed tongue-tied at the moment. Then, he looked at the genial-faced Tang Wulin. How could he not understand what the situation was? He made a cough and said, "All right, my dear senior officers. Make sure there'll be no next time. After all, it'll cause us trouble if you keep making such a huge scene." After he finished, he saluted Tang Wulin and Ma Shan. Then, he left along with the court-martial personnel. Tang Wulin sighed softly, "Commander Ma, can you now accept my identity?" Ma Shan gulped and caressed his bald head. That's nothing. Are you really Blood 9? Tang Wulin guffawed. Why don't we have another sparring session in the combat room? Ma Shan waved his hand. There's no need for that. The court-martial already confirmed your identity. I've been too rash and acted improperly. I offer my apologies. Tang Wulin shrugged. There's no need for apologies. Commander Ma, you must help me repair everything we've destroyed here. No problem. Leave it to me. Ma Shan was also a frank person. He agreed to the request immediately. At the same time, he was grateful. The Blood God Army's rules were very strict. Although he could be wild at times, he knew that if he broke the rules, he would not be given the chance to explain himself. After all, he was only a senior colonel while Tang Wulin was a major general. He could be charged as revolting against his superior for attempting to apprehend Tang Wulin without sufficient grounds to justify his action. If Tang Wulin had insisted on taking action, he would be in deep trouble. Not only would his merit points be deducted as a penalty, but he might also even be grounded for a period of time. That would be highly embarrassing. If Tang Wulin was Blood 9, then there would be no issue with his rank as a major general. He understood it was his rash action which led to the situation at hand. If all he had to do was to fix a building, it was a small price to pay. I'll have someone fix it for you right away. After he finished, the shamefaced Ma Shan walked hurriedly away. After all, he was not decently dressed at the moment. Watching Ma Shan leave, Tang Wulin shook his head in helplessness. What was all this? It was truly an undeserved catastrophe on his part. Sure enough, it was not a good thing to be promoted so quickly. You're Blood 9 already, a sweet, unbelieving voice came from the side. Tang Wulin turned around to find it was Long Yuxue. He said with a smile, yeah. Actually, most of it is due to my luck. Until the former Blood 9 challenges me to another duel, I'll still be Blood 9, for sure. Long Yuxue stared at him blankly. When he had just arrived, she was his directing officer who taught him all there was to know about the army. She was the one who brought him into the abyssal passages to fight the abyssal creatures. A few months on, he had already become her senior officer instead. Although a lieutenant colonel and a major general appeared to be only a few ranks apart, the disparity was akin to a natural chasm. For reasons unbeknownst to herself, Long Yuxue suddenly felt that the contrast between them was growing. She could still picture him calling her senior officer every time they spoke. Now, however, she was the one who had to address him as a senior officer. She found it difficult to adapt to this change in status. We're collaborating partners. Don't think too much about it. Even I feel that I'm in some sort of a dream. Tang Wulin shook his hand in front of the dazed Long Yuxue. Long Yuxue snapped back to her senses. She said nothing, but her gaze had changed slightly. Not long after, Ma Shan brought with him a group of Iron Blood Battalion warriors and began repairing the wall. With that much manpower, the job was a piece of cake. The wall was restored to its original state in less than an hour. Ma Shan's attitude was clearly changed. Senior officer, I'm so sorry for today. I've acted too rashly. Tang Wulin said with a smile, Commander Ma, don't call me senior officer. You're the mainstay of the army, while I happen to be in luck. It was my senior, the former Blood 9 who let me win, which landed me the title temporarily. Just call me Blood 9 or by my actual name, Tang Wulin. There's no need to call me a senior officer. Ma Shan scratched his head and said with a smile, I think our relationship can be described as with the exchange of blows, friendship grows. I've always admired those with great strength. Your power is amazing. I've not lost for a long time. I thought that the young man Jiang Wuyue would surpass me someday. I never expected that your power is even greater than his. When we've some free time in the future, let's have more sparring sessions. It was slightly awkward just now, but I've always liked a good fight between pure powers. It's also difficult to find a good opponent. Tang Wulin's eyes brightened. All right then. We can fight in the Stardo Battle Network later. He had been fretting about the difficulty of finding a suitable opponent. Jiang Wuyue would not want to fight him anymore, no matter what he said. If he could fight Ma Shan, who had a greater cultivation base than himself, he would gladly welcome the opportunity. All right, it's a deal. I'll give you my blood god bracelet number. Keep in touch. I don't have many hobbies, but I love to fight. Also, I'll never willingly accept defeat. Don't you go thinking that I'm a nuisance later. Ma Shan chuckled. Tang Wulin smiled as well. As long as you don't. The two of them were smiling, but the meaning behind their smiles was different. Tang Wulin said, Commander, Yushue told me that you needed metals for 3-word battle armor. What kind of metals are you looking for? I'll help you draft a plan later. All right, I've almost forgotten about this business of ours. Long Yushue looked at the two men who were walking away while hugging each other's shoulder. She was speechless. They had been fighting with all their might just a few moments ago. How did they end up being this close? How strange indeed, the world of men. With the improvement in his cultivation base, Tang Wulin experienced positive effects in his forging. After his dragon core was formed, his strength increased by leaps and bounds. Naturally, forging came easily to him, as effortless as the hand directing its fingers. Especially after he cultivated his complementing yin-yang vortices, he could now control his soul power, strength, and bloodline power with more mastery than before. Naturally, it enhanced his forging as well. His craftsmanship, as a saint craftsman, was consistent at the moment. His soul refinement success rate had greatly increased. After talking with Ma Shan, Tang Wulin understood his request. Ma Shan's request was actually quite simple. He just wanted an enhancement in strength. Such a battle armor would be purely physical. In truth, after one's rank reached a certain threshold, one would experience a breakthrough in quality. After drafting some simple plans, Tang Wulin gave Ma Shan some ideas. He further strengthened the metal portion of his original design and helped him select a spirit alloy made up of 4 types of metals. Then, he would apply his soul refinement on them. The process of forging the spirit alloys was no longer difficult for Tang Wulin. However, it still required some skills to harmonize the 4 types of metals. Moreover, he had to do the soul refinement on them, after the harmonizing process, which added to the difficulty. Even the ordinary rank 8 Saint craftsman could not guarantee a 100% success rate. That was why Tang Wulin told Ma Shan that he would need at least 2 months to complete his order. Also, he needed enough rare metals. Naturally, Ma Shan would be the one to supply the materials needed for the soul refinement. Since they increased the quantity required for the metals, they needed more materials as well. As the Iron Blood Battalion's commander, Ma Shan had accumulated quite a number of merit points. Since he would not be commissioned as a major general so soon, he could use his merit points to buy these metals. Tang Wulin did not raise his processing fees for the order. He only charged him for the basic order. Ma Shan's order was the forging of metals for 3-word battle armor. It could be regarded as a huge project as all the materials had to undergo the soul refinement. Had it been another saint craftsman, the fee Ma Shan needed to pay would definitely be an astronomical figure. What Tang Wulin wanted were the rare metals to build his black mecha. He was now Blood 9 and could enjoy great discounts. After considering the costs, he only charged Ma Shan a minimal of merit points. This naturally improved Ma Shan's impression of him. However, Tang Wulin had some additional terms which required Ma Shan to fight him in the Stardo Battle Network for at least 100 matches. The cost of the venue would also be borne by Ma Shan. Ma Shan was convinced that he had the upper hand here, which was why he agreed to the terms without hesitation. The upcoming month was an important one for Tang Wulin. After he had beaten Blood 9 and received Blood 1's advice, he decided that he would work hard, no matter what, to keep his position as Blood 9 when their rematch would be scheduled a month later. It was not for the military rank, but for his own glory. At the same time, it gave him much motivation. He had set a period of a month to improve himself. The final rounds of the Federal Stardo Battle Network Challenge would take place 15 days later. It was also an important training exercise for him. Hence, he would need to improve his strength even more. By training himself through battling for a month, Tang Wulin believed that his strength would definitely improve much more by then. With Ma Shan as a sparring partner, it fitted his plans well. After all, only one match would be held each day. He could spar with Ma Shan any time he wished to challenge his body to the extreme. He sat cross-legged in his room. Tang Wulin's breathing was steady. Soon, he entered into a blissful state. His dragon core flickered with a golden light, whereas his soul core's glow was more reserved. His complementing yin-yang vortices swirled, and he naturally absorbed the origin energy into his body. After the formation of these two vortices, Tang Wulin's cultivation speed did not increase much, but the refinement of his soul power was more powerful. Each drop of soul power he condensed now was extremely pure. Although his cultivation base was still at rank 65, his actual combat stamina could not even be challenged by a soul saint. If he kept going, he would not be facing any great bottlenecks, at least before he became a title Doluor. Today, cultivation practice was not the only item on his schedule. He had to overcome this procedure, which meant a lot to him. If he accomplished this procedure, Tang Wulin believed that it would definitely enhance his cultivation base greatly. He calmed his spirit and mind completely. The vortex formed by the combination of his soul power and bloodline power swirled in a balanced manner. Tang Wulin pictured the entire process in his mind. After he went through the procedure once more, the crucial moment had finally arrived. He took a deep breath, and his complementing yin-yang vortices gradually slowed down. Tang Wulin momentarily severed the connection between his dragon core and soul core. At the same time, he controlled the bloodline power within his dragon core so that it shot upward and slowly entered the golden world in his heart. The procedure that he wanted to undertake today was to break through the 10th Golden Dragon King seal. Old Tang had once told him that it would be in his favor to break through the latter seals as soon as possible if the conditions allowed. It was because he would have enough time to strengthen his body with his extant Golden Dragon King's bloodline power. This would increase his chances of breaking through the remaining seals in his future cultivation. Regarding the final 9 seals, every single breakthrough was a complete transformation. However, every single breakthrough was also a trial of life and death. Tang Wulin knew about this from Old Tang, but he had never actually experienced it. Now, he would be carrying out his first attempt. He had broken through the 9th Golden Dragon King's seal while he was in the Dragon Valley. With the enhancement from the many dragon spirits in the Dragon Valley, everything happened smoothly as in the formation of a canal when the water came. It had given him more time to accumulate. After such a long period of accumulation, he had formed his dragon core and soul core consecutively. His cultivation base was also elevated to the rank of a soul emperor. In his own eyes, he completely possessed the ability to break through the 10th seal. He had accumulated enough for this moment. He did not feel anxious. He was confident that he could accomplish the breakthrough. The more important issue was the experience of the breakthrough itself. The 10th seal held an extraordinary meaning. He wanted to experience just how difficult it would be to break through the final 9 seals. Tang Wulin remembered everything Old Tang told him. If he could truly absorb all the energy from the 18 Golden Dragon King seals, he would be the new Golden Dragon King and attain the rank of a god. It was a shortcut for Tang Wulin, a shortcut which no one else had access to. What he wanted to know now was how difficult this shortcut would be to traverse. His bloodline power rushed up to charge against the 10th seal. For an instant, Tang Wulin felt his entire body tremble. A faint glow appeared around him. The densely packed golden dragon scales surfaced on his skin. A dense, blood essence power surged forth vigorously, and a faint dragon's roar seemed to reverberate around his body. Tang Wulin's spirits were stable. The density of his accumulation had resulted in a positive effect at this moment. The first charge was a trial run. The 10th Golden Dragon King's seal was very tough, unlike the other seals before it. With the formation of his 2 cores, he could faintly see the condition of the seal with his inner sight. The seal was like a wall decorated with beautiful patterns. For some unknown reason, Tang Wulin was shocked to find these familiar patterns resembling his blue-silver emperor somewhat. He felt it was connected to his bloodline. It made him feel very close to the seal's power. At this moment, an unexpected thought suddenly appeared within Tang Wulin's mind. Where did the seal within him come from? Old Tang had never told him about this. Where did the Golden Dragon King's essence come from? The thought flashed across his mind. Now, he had to focus all his energy into charging the seal. He had no time to think of anything else. His bloodline power formed the appearance of a golden dragon in his body. The patterns on the seal flickered with a dazzling splendor as it blocked the energy's charge. However, Tang Wulin felt strongly that there was another surge of bloodline power which shared the same origins as his delirious charging against the seal from within. The energies charged against the seal in a pincer attack as they attempted to break the seal. A strong sensation welled up within Tang Wulin's body. He felt as if his body was being continually compressed without much need for his control. The bloodline power within his body charged against the seal time and again. The patterns on the seal began to get messy. Crack lines began appearing silently. Finally, from the first expanding crack, a golden red glow surged forth and instantly charged Tang Wulin's bloodline power. Tang Wulin felt his body shake violently. A ferocious and brutal aura that was difficult to describe spread throughout his entire body. He felt as if everything in the world was about to be massacred. The terrifying aura made Tang Wulin's entire body shake slightly. The Golden Dragon King bloodline power within him boiled over instantly. There was no need for him to control it. The bloodline power began to charge at the seal in a frenzy. The golden red glow which had leaked out of the seal intensified. The ferocious and brutal aura could also be clearly felt. Tang Wulin felt his entire spirit affected. At the crucial moment, he faced it with a focused spirit. His soul core which had remained dormant under his control now unleashed an immense amount of soul power which surged toward his bloodline power. His fair and gentle mysterious heaven method's power began merging swiftly with his bloodline power. They worked together with his bloodline power and slowly merged into his body. With the addition of the mysterious heaven method, the wildness of the bloodline power weakened just as he had hoped. At the same time, Tang Wulin felt a tinge of coolness from his Saint's Craftsman's badge infusing itself into his soul's world. That stabilized his spirit. With the ferocious and brutal aura wreaking havoc, the seal shattered with a boom. The dense golden red glow instantly filled every crevice in Tang Wulin's body. Tang Wulin's body started shaking violently. His dorm room was painted in golden red. The extremely ferocious and barbarous aura wreaked havoc in his body. Around him, a golden dragon's illusory shadow appeared. Although its body was illusory, its eyes were exceptionally sharp. It was a pair of blood-red eyes with a fierce look. The room flickered with lights and the ferocious and barbarous aura kept intensifying as it stimulated Tang Wulin's body. At this instant, Tang Wulin suddenly recalled his past opponent, Long Yu. When Long Yu utilized his Mountain Dragon King's power, his emotions would sometimes go out of control. No matter what, Tang Wulin could not go berserk. If he lost control over his own powers, would he not turn into a killing machine? When he thought about this, Tang Wulin bit the tip of his tongue. The sharp pain stimulated his mind and rapidly stabilized his spirit. No matter how strong the ferocious and brutal aura was, he blocked it forcefully. He would not allow it to invade his soul sea. At the same time, he relaxed his body and allowed his two cores to form the complementing yin-yang vortices again to absorb the terrifying blood essence power which came from the 10th seal. Old Tang had not exaggerated. The intensity of the blood essence power which surged out from the 10th seal was so great that Tang Wulin could not even begin to measure it. He had been preparing for it a long time and had broken through a few seals consecutively. However, when this seal's power charged at him, he felt as if his body was about to crumble. Fortunately, his dragon core and soul core shone brightly at the same time. With the swirling of his complementing yin-yang vortices, they managed to guide the bloodline essence which surged forth wildly into a swirl. Although it was not able to absorb the energy directly, it could at least reduce the impact these wild energies had on his body. His body began to swell up. On the surface of his body, his blood vessels thickened and bulged under his skin. They resembled little dragons spread throughout his body. Tang Wulin's body also began turning golden red. The scales on his body was the color of blood. They had turned into the color of blood from their original golden color. His body trembled violently. The Golden Dragon King's energy was also quivering. Each time it shook, a dense, blood essence power would be released from Tang Wulin's body. It filled his dorm room with a terrifying aura. Tang Wulin continually improved his cultivation base. His attitude and spiritual power were also improving. However, at the current moment, he was gradually losing the ability to think. On top of the bracelet, which he wore on his wrist, a 7-colored gemstone flickered. The bracelet was from the Dragon Valley. It silently absorbed a portion of the wild bloodline aura which gradually turned golden red. The silver scale on the necklace around Tang Wulin's neck heated up as well. It gave off a burning silver halo. The seconds ticked away. Tang Wulin felt his body swell to a size as large as the world. He felt as if he could burst at any moment. His golden dragon spear vibrated slightly as it buzzed. It made him feel as if his body was about to break free of its reins. His consciousness slipped away gradually. In his mind, countless extremely powerful giant beasts kept appearing in an impressive manner without pause. They soared across the vast skies and charged toward a palace of an indiscernible size which was able to carry the weight of the entire world. An excited dragon's roar resounded in the air. The giant beasts proceeded to the palace one after another. Countless carcasses fell from the skies. Intense pain and dissatisfaction appeared in Tang Wulin's heart. He seemed to open his mouth. A deafening dragon's roar came from him and covered every giant beast in a 7-colored glow. The impact they felt was even more ferocious. At this very moment, a blood-red glow rolled forth from the palace. The army of giant beasts was destroyed from its center outwards. Countless giant beasts were turned to dust in the aftermath. There was a flash of blood red, and his consciousness slipped back into darkness. Then, Tang Wulin heard crackling sounds as if someone was frying beans in his bones. It seemed as if a string of firecrackers had been inserted into his body. Amidst the explosions, Tang Wulin's entire body shook violently. The blood essence shockwave within him became even stronger. His dragon core had completely changed at this moment. Previously, it was crystalline-shaped, but now it was shaped like an orb. Also, it was no longer transparent. It repeated the expanding and contracting cycles endlessly. Each time it contracted and expanded, a large amount of bloodline power was swallowed and spat out. After the golden red glow of the 10th seal was sucked in, it was compressed and released into his limbs and bones. What was this? Why did the dragon core resemble a heart? It was slightly smaller than Tang Wulin's own heart. However, the amount of blood essence power it pumped out was more than his own heart. A second heart? Currently, Tang Wulin's heart was filled with awe. Then, he focused on his soul core, which had also undergone its own transformation. Its interior was of blue-silver grass, but now, the current soul core, though unchanged in its interior, was circled by a small golden dragon on the outside. It moved like a live dragon as it circled the soul core. His soul core was slightly larger than before. The blue-silver grass on the inside was even a brilliant gold. His two cores still communicated with each other, even now. Unlike before, the complementing yin-yang vortices had disappeared. However, there seemed to be a form of energy bridging them together. Every bone inside Tang Wulin's body was experiencing change, including the bone marrows. A myriad of intricate patterns surfaced on his bones. The patterns were golden red and resembled countless miniature dragons sprawled across his bones. The dragon patterns were faint and barely noticeable. At this moment, Tang Wulin clearly felt that he was no longer just a human. The portion of his body where the Mountain Dragon King's soul bone had merged was also covered by this dragon pattern. His aura experienced a great change, as if the world was turned upside down. Not only that, but these energies also surged wildly toward his back. The bones on Tang Wulin's back clearly thickened. The thickening of two of his rib bones was especially noticeable. They started jutting outward in their transformation. They pushed his muscles aside and started protruding out of his body. The pain from such an event was unbearable. Tang Wulin felt as if his entire body was about to be shredded to pieces. However, he did not have the strength to stop it from happening. What exactly is that? An intense pain accompanied the extremely dense bloodline power as it flowed throughout his body. He could not control his own body. The only thing he could do was to guard his soul sea diligently so that the ferocious and brutal aura would not have the chance to enter his soul's world. Even so, staying awake meant that the pain would be intolerable. However, he had no choice but to stay awake. Otherwise, he might very well lose control over his own body like Long Yu. Poof! The skin on his back was split open and the two thick rib bones seemed to diverge away from each other. Shortly after, Tang Wulin felt his body go light and an indescribable feeling followed suit. It was the extension of his limbs, a comfort that came from fully relaxing. A pair of wings unfurled behind him and they slowly extended. His bloodline power seemed to have found an outlet. It was quickly distributed to his two newly developed dragon wings. Dragon scales quickly grew over his dragon wings and started to thicken. His dragon wings also expanded continuously until it was fully formed finally. The bloodline aura that had pervaded the room surged toward the dragon wings the instant they were formed, as the aura was absorbed by the wings. Tang Wulin channeled his thoughts into the dragon wings. He could feel the rich supply of blood vessels within his dragon wings and the changes in his bloodline power. Wings? He had grown wings, much to his surprise. Could someone like him still be regarded as a human? Tang Wulin's spirits were slightly shaken. With the appearance of his dragon wings, the intense shockwave that had brought him much pain in the beginning finally subsided. His spirits calmed down. With the diminishing pain, Tang Wulin entered into a meditative state. The Blood God Battalion's dorm rooms were equipped with resilient, energy-resistant walls. It was meant to prevent the energy shockwave from the 9 Blood Gods' cultivation from affecting the outer world. Tang Wulin had already moved into the former Blood Nine's quarters. That was why the outside world did not feel a thing in spite of the drastic change happening inside the room. Much time had passed when Tang Wulin finally woke up from his meditation. When he opened his eyes, he felt as if everything inside the dorm room had become more vivid. He moved his body slightly. There was a shackled sensation all over his body. It was as if something invisible prevented him from moving. Tang Wulin exerted some force and immediately felt something shatter. He instinctively looked down and was frightened by what he saw. His chest had cracked. Apparently, it was only the surface of his skin. The cracks then quickly spread. He felt that he was breaking free of his shackles. A layer of skin was expelled from his body. Tang Wulin tore away the broken pieces to expose his newly grown skin. A tinge of redness showed through his fair skin. His new skin appeared healthy. There was even a faint golden halo flowing underneath it. The ferocious and brutal aura he felt while breaking through the seal had completely vanished. If it were not for the huge dragon wings that were still on his back, it would have seemed that nothing had happened. It was truly casting off his old self to take on his new self. The changes now were much greater than the ones brought by breaking through the earlier seals. However, with a pair of wings behind him, did it not mean that he was a monster now? It would be great if they could be retracted. The thought had barely disappeared from his mind when the wings retracted behind him. A warm sensation on Tang Wulin's back accompanied the process. After folding in on themselves, the pair of wings merged into his body, much to his surprise. The only signs that they were there were the 2 rib bones which were thicker than the other rib bones. A kind of joy welled up inside him. Tang Wulin waved his arms excitedly. It was a harmless gesture, but a golden red shadow appeared in the air instantly. A low dragon's roar sounded as well. Within his chest, the heart formed by his dragon core started shaking violently. A dense, blood-essence shockwave instantly traversed his body. A layer of dragon scales was quickly added onto his newly grown skin. The dragon scales this time were different. They were double-layered. They appeared thicker, stronger, and felt tougher. Tang Wulin stood up carefully as he quietly felt his body. He had an odd feeling. Tang Wulin truly felt that he was a completely different person after he absorbed the 10th Golden Dragon King seal. Not only did he grow a new pair of wings, but his twin cores were also different. His complementing yin-yang vortices had formed a heaven and earth bridge. His strength felt different, and even his martial soul had changed. Tang Wulin felt helpless after discovering that not only did his current strength not increase, he had become weaker instead. Regardless of how great a power he had, if he could not control it, he would not be able to display its full strength. Nevertheless, it was still a good start. Just how much benefit the 10th seal had brought him, he could only verify it through actual combat. Beep, beep, beep. At this very moment, the blood god bracelet on his wrist was activated. After Tang Wulin looked at the number, a faint smile immediately appeared on his face. It was truly like giving a pillow to someone who was sleep-deprived. Hello, Commander Ma. Oh, I've been cultivating in seclusion these past few days and have just wrapped up. Sure. I'll log onto the Stardo Battle Network right away. We'll meet at the combat area, Tang Wulin said with a smile. It was Ma Shan who called. He invited Tang Wulin to a sparring session in the Stardo Battle Network. He flexed his limbs with a few simple movements and felt the changes in his body. At the very least, he could control his body without much trouble. Also, his body had undergone much change. He went into the Stardo cabin and connected to the battle network. He found Ma Shan in no time. Ma Shan's nickname was his own name. With his personality, he never liked anything flashy. Brother, you've come. Let's get down to business. This time, I'll be fighting with all my might. Let's see just how powerful this new Blood 9 is. Tang Wulin said with a smile, sure. I've been wanting to test my strength. Ma Shan paid the fees of 2,000 Federation coins on his own accord for the use of the combat stage. In the next moment, the two of them appeared on the competition stage. Tang Wulin silently felt the changes in his body. His arms hung naturally by his sides and his eyes were slightly squinted. There was a faint glow flickering within his eyes. Ma Shan looked at Tang Wulin who stood opposite him. As he listened to the electronic countdown, he suddenly felt that his opponent seemed to have changed. Did he grow taller? He also seemed to have been working out lately. Why are his eyes so bright? Also, the air about him seems different somehow. He's clearly smiling, but why is he giving me this sense of danger? It's as if there's something ferocious and barbaric contained within his body. The short electronic countdown had finished. Ma Shan had plenty of experience in actual combat. Although he was confounded, he would definitely not allow it to affect his judgment. He unleashed his martial soul at the first opportunity. He unleashed his Titan ape. His body enlarged, and 8 soul rings arose. Simultaneously, Tang Wulin took a deep breath. His body flashed with lights and 5 golden soul rings arose from his body. 5 golden soul rings. After he had broken through the 10th seal, he had another bloodline soul ring skill. He arched his body forward and his pair of dragon wings immediately burst forth under the control of his thoughts. The instant his dragon wings were released, Tang Wulin felt a flow of heat spreading all over his body. It seemed his powers were enhanced tremendously at that moment. The sensation was so strong that he was not fully prepared for it when his body levitated from the ground. It's not a battle armor? A wing? Is this his martial soul's talent? Why are his soul rings golden? A flurry of questions sprung up within Ma Shan. Meanwhile, he unleashed his first and third soul skills. While his body continued to enlarge, he charged toward Tang Wulin in great strides. The Titan ape was sheer power. Every time its feet hit the ground would shake. Ma Shan had reached Tang Wulin after taking only a few steps. He balled his hands into fists and hurled them at Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin did not unleash his golden dragon spear at the moment. For now, he wanted to test his body's condition. He wanted to know the kind of changes his body had experienced after harmonizing with the 10th Golden Dragon King's seal. He raised both arms before him and blocked Ma Shan's fists that were like giant hammers. To be safe, he unleashed his golden dragon body. The golden dragon scales instantly crawled onto his skin to completely cover his body. Amidst the intense explosion, Tang Wulin's body, which was in midair, was struck down. Ma Shan had not used his full strength when he fought Tang Wulin at the forging workshop back then. Currently, he did not need to hold back inside the Stardo Battle Network. The force displayed by an 8-ring, true power Soul de Lure was extremely terrifying. However, Tang Wulin merely crashed onto the ground. His arms had firmly blocked Ma Shan's attacks. He felt great. Tang Wulin clearly felt his dragon core within his chest pumping continuously. The blood essence power was distributed all across his body. Ma Shan's immense strength did not give him much pressure. He stomped the ground with his right foot. The golden dragon shakes the earth. He did not use his blood-soul fusion skill. It was purely the golden dragon shakes the earth. An explosion sounded. A low dragon's roar triggered the formation of golden dragon patterns appearing within a radius of 25 meters. Shortly after, a giant golden dragon brazenly shot up from under Ma Shan. It sent his colossal body flying. Ma Shan felt his entire body tense up. An invisible pressure instantly appeared in his heart. The soul skill that he had planned to unleash next was interrupted. The golden dragon which sent him flying instantly turned into 8 dragons in the air. The 8 dragons suddenly converged on Ma Shan's body, impacting it in full force. While Ma Shan was stunned, his 5th soul ring was unleashed. A giant ape's illusory shadow appeared behind him. His entire body unleashed a dazzling luster. Even so, when each golden dragon erupted on his body, a great charge of golden current would be set off which shook his body terribly. Tang Wulin raised his palms skyward. The golden dragon soars to the heaven. A giant golden dragon more than 30 meters long shot out from his palms. With a sonorous dragon's roar, it struck Ma Shan's body which sent him reeling. Ma Shan flew a good 50 meters before he dropped to the ground. He did a flip and hammered his chest with his hands. His 2nd soul ring shone and a dense layer of energy burst forth from within him. He finally got rid of the golden lightning. In the aftermath, he looked slightly beaten. Without using his blood-soul fusion skill, he had managed to send an 8-ring Soul de Lure reeling by merely using the golden dragon shakes the earth and the golden dragon soars to the heaven. It was completely due to the enhancement of his blood essence power. Tang Wulin had made an accurate judgment. Under the condition where both of them did not use their battle armors, his combat strength, with the 10th seal's enhancement of his body and without using his martial soul, would be on par with an 8-ring Soul de Lure's. It was also due to the Titan Ape, being purely a power-type martial soul, which was similar to Tang Wulin's martial soul. If that were not the case, the effects would not be so great either. After all, different soul masters had different skills. Nonetheless, Tang Wulin could take pride in this. He had managed to send the powerful Iron Blood Battalion's commander reeling. The substantial improvement of his combat strength was a powerful enhancement for him. With the addition of his battle armor, martial soul, and consolidation of his cultivation base, he would truly stand a chance against Blood 9. The years of cultivation were slowly beginning to bear fruit. His slow cultivation during his early years and continuous accumulation had finally allowed him to have a sequence of breakthroughs during this period. He finally had some substantial improvements and could be remotely considered an expert. Good. Again. After the loud yell, Ma Shan was charging toward him again. This time, his 7th soul ring shone. Huge swathes of hair appeared on his body. He did not grow taller, but the giant ape's illusory shadow behind him merged with his actual body and he turned into a giant ape. Martial soul avatar, the Titan Ape. Ma Shan's domineering air was at a completely different level after he unleashed his martial soul avatar. His power had broken through a critical point. It even caused the air around him to show signs of shattering and contorting. Tang Wulin's gaze began to get serious. The golden dragon claws appeared on both his hands. He tapped the ground lightly with the tip of his left foot and did a vertical leap into the air. He extended his dragon wings behind him and flapped them forcefully. He wanted to know the effects his dragon wings could give him. As he flapped his wings, Tang Wulin immediately felt huge amounts of origin energy coming from his dragon wings which spread all over his body. Then, his body flew outward in a straight line. Just when he wanted to stabilize himself, he noticed that the dragon wing's acceleration was too great. When he flapped his wings, his dragon core's energy was directly infused into his wings without reserve. He could not change his direction even if he wanted to. The Martian transformed Titan ape saw Tang Wulin, who was charging toward him. He squatted down while facing him. Then, he stood up forcefully. Tang Wulin could only manage to put his arms weakly beneath him before his body was sent flying by Martian's headbutt. He flew as high as 100 meters and crashed onto the protective barrier above the competition stage. He bounced up again to crash onto the ground. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.